Ravens at Steelers. The Steelers have the ball. We're in the fourth quarter. It's a really important game. Last game of the year. Both of these teams have a chance to make the playoffs. The winner of this game wins the AFC North, clinches their spot in the playoffs. The loser is eliminated. So the Steelers have the ball. We're in the fourth quarter. There's 6 minutes left, and they're down by 4. It's 17-3 for the Ravens. Their season is on the line, and it's 3rd and 8. So they're down by 4, which means that a field goal won't cut it. They need to get a touchdown. But more importantly, they just need to convert a first down to keep the chains moving here. The Ravens come out in 2 defenders high. Could suggest that this is cover 2. Steelers come out in 11 personnel, 1 running back, 1 tight end. Trips right, meaning 3 receivers lined up on the right side. The tight end detached from the line. This is a passing play. The Steelers decide to put the ball in Rodgers' hands to make a good decision, which is exactly what you do in moments like this. Put the ball in the hands of the guy that you trust the most. And the Steelers call a classic cover 2 beater. The play design looks like this. This go route from our X, our running back runs into the flat. We have a hitch route from our F, an over route, and then a post route across the middle. And the Ravens defense is playing cover 2. So the 2 deep safeties are playing deep half responsibilities. And as we've talked about in the past, the big vulnerability is deep across the middle. And in this case, Rodgers finds his tight end, Pat Freiermuth, for a big completion to get the first down. On the 2-yard line is where he's tackled. Kenneth Gainwell would then go in to score a touchdown to give them the lead 20-17. Play number 2 from the same game on the very next drive. The Ravens now have the ball. There's 2.5 minutes on the clock, and they're down by 3 points. They're on their own 36-yard line. They've got a couple timeouts, but now their season is on the line. So they've got enough time where they don't need to operate with extreme urgency. They can still run the ball. They need about 20 yards to get into field goal range, which is all they need to tie this game up and bring it to overtime, worst case. Henry has over 100 yards rushing already in this game and is an obvious threat. He's always an obvious threat, but in this game in particular, he's having success. They come out in a really interesting formation here, which they tend to do. We talk about the Ravens a lot just because they have such a unique scheme. And what makes it so unique is, number one, this tight formation. All the receivers are lined up in close proximity to the offensive line, as opposed to being lined up wide near the sideline, like you'd see with a lot of spread offenses. Instead of the left tackle, they've got the fullback lined up on the left side of the line, and they've moved their left tackle over to the right side. So this is interesting. They've got 6 offensive linemen on the field, which you tend to do in run-heavy situations. The defense is probably looking at this and wondering, what the heck are they trying to do here? This is unusual. Could they be calling up a pass play to their left tackle, who's an eligible receiver? Could they be using their fullback as a pulling blocker in a gap run across the right? But it does seem to suggest that they are wanting to run the ball to the right, just due to the heavy blocking personnel on the right side here. And this is what the Ravens have had success with running in this game, which is a little bit unusual. Henry tends to be a downhill between the blockers, between the tackles runner, more of kind of an inside zone gap running back. He's big and powerful, so just running downhill with his strength and his speed is something that they like to use him a lot with. You don't tend to see him running to the outside all that much, but that's something that they've done in this game with success a few times. And so certainly this is something that the defense is probably keying in on, because it's unusual to what they probably expected him to do coming into this game. So they're taking advantage of this for sure. It's not actually going to be a run play, but it's going to be a play action. So it's going to be a fake handoff to Henry, who does run to the right side, which we talked about this last week. This is kind of an awkward and unusual side to run to when the quarterback is lined up in shotgun and the running back is to his right. You tend to see him run the ball the opposite, because he can run forward and to the left and have some momentum. Whereas in this case, if he's running to the right, he has to take a lateral step to get the ball and then cut back. So he doesn't have that same initial acceleration that he would have otherwise. But that's what they do here. So it's a fake run to the right. The line blocks to the right, and the defense bites on this as well. Everybody kind of shifts to the right, hoping to make a play. They know that they're going to need a group of people to tackle Henry, most likely, if it's going to be in space. And what the play call actually is it's something like this. We've got the Z receiver who's running this clearing route, just going straight up the field. He's actually an ineligible receiver. Because this left tackle is lined up here, he's not part of the offensive line in this case. He's detached and is an eligible receiver. But because he's lined up on the line of scrimmage, anyone else who's lined up on the line of scrimmage toward the sideline is ineligible. So this guy's actually can't catch the ball. He can run down the field, which he does, but he can't catch the ball. Our tight end has a wheel route on the outside, and he's actually open and is a really good option here for Lamar. Zay Flowers is running this deep crosser across the middle, opposite of the side of the field where this run is going, and he ends up being wide open. And the reason for that is because the defense completely sells out on the run here. They step down to try and make a play themselves, and the nickel corner, Jalen Ramsey in this case, he bites and lets Flowers run behind him completely wide open. Ends up being a 64-yard touchdown, giving the Ravens the lead 24-20. Dolphins at Patriots. So the Patriots have the ball here. They come out in 11 personnel, one running back, one tight end. And they call this really simple but effective play here that I love. It's a flea flicker. So what a flea flicker is it's where the quarterback gives the ball to a running back or a receiver. They then lateral the ball back to the quarterback. He then throws it down the field to an open receiver. So this is different from a play action where it would be a fake handoff to the running back, but the quarterback keeps the ball. They're trying to sell the defense on this idea that they're running like the Ravens did in that last play, but then the quarterback holds the ball and throws it. So in this case, they're actually receiving the ball. The quarterback hands the ball off to the running back in this case. He holds the ball for a couple seconds before lateraling it back to Drake May. Now, what's interesting about this to me is that they're doing this out of the shotgun. It's a really smart idea. We talked about in the past how play action is less effective in the shotgun. Why? Because the defense can see very clearly if the ball is being handed off or not. Both the quarterback and the running back are facing the defense. And so even if they try and do this little fake handoff and cover it with their arms, it's still pretty clear to the defense if it's a run or not. So they can react more quickly to the run if it is. Whereas in a under center type play, you've got our quarterback and our running back. The quarterback is going to turn backwards and face away from the defense, give that fake handoff. It's a lot easier for him to sell this handoff and make the defense hesitate for a moment longer. So that's why play action under center tends to be more effective. Also, we talked about this idea where he can run to either the left or the right side effectively downhill, whereas in this case, this running back has more explosiveness if he's running across the face as opposed to coming back and doing a counter like that. Anyway, so this flea flicker being called out of the shotgun like this is really interesting. The running back receives the ball, takes a step or two forward. Defense sees that he has the ball. Now they're sold that this is a run. But in addition to this, the offense does a couple things that are really effective to sell this. We've got the receiver out here who's running downfield, not running, but jogging, which sometimes you'll see with outside receivers who are not really involved all that much in the run block. They'll just kind of call it in and they won't really give high effort. And so that's kind of exactly what this receiver does, which probably sells the idea to this corner and this strong safety that he's actually not convincingly running a route. It's probably a run. Same thing with this. And this is actually a tight end here. He does the same thing where he comes across and, initially kind of puts his hand up as if he's about to engage in a block, sells the idea of run. This causes everybody to move toward the left side, which is the side where the runner is, including, importantly, this free safety in this corner. And the fact that this tight end did this fake block in front of the free safety in the corner is important, because as soon as they take a step down, he takes a step up and out. And it's at this point that the lateral pass happens. Drake May has now got the ball here in his hands. This cornerback realizes that. He's also felt that tight end run behind him. He quickly turns around, but it's too late. He's way too far away, and Drake May finds his tight end for an easy completion. The tight end in this case is Efton Chisholm. He's got 150 snaps this year, so he's involved quite a bit, but he's only got 2 catches coming into this game, and they were both from the previous game. He's more of a special teams player and not known as a significant receiving threat, so that even further sells the idea of this being a running play. Had this been one of their top target receivers, maybe the defense would have thought a little bit more about committing so hard to that run. So it was a good choice, a good strategic choice on the offense here to use this underutilized tight end as the primary receiver in this play call. Really good play. Dolphins at Patriots. From the same game again, but this time the Dolphins have the ball. We're still in the first quarter, about 10.5 minutes on the clock, and it's 3rd and 6. So the Patriots come out in this formation where they have a single high safety, which could suggest that this is cover 3, because this strong safety is walked down a little bit. He's not down to the line of scrimmage, but he's not sitting high next to the free safety like you'd typically see in a cover 2 or cover 4 situation. However, With cover 3, you tend to see the cornerbacks lined up a little bit further off the line of scrimmage at maybe 8 to 10 yards. We're not seeing that in this case. They're maybe like 4 to 6 yards off. So it's a little unclear what this coverage is. It ends up being a form of cover 2, but we do see a bit of deception just due to the formation, the pre-snap formation here from the defense, which is pretty smart. They've also got this double A-gap pressure. Both linebackers are mugging the A-gap, meaning they're lined up right on the line of scrimmage. They're leaning forward and kind of twitching, making it look as if they're going to blitz, which gives us 6 guys on the line of scrimmage. So if only 4 of these guys were rushing, we wouldn't call that a blitz. That's just a typical pressure. But with 6 guys on the line of scrimmage, the offense has to be prepared for the possibility that a blitz might be coming, 5 or more people. This is to hopefully cause the offensive line to maybe make a mistake in their blocking coverage, also to create a sense of pressure for the quarterback, hoping that he'll make a mistake and get the ball out of his hands quickly and maybe throw it into one of the dropping coverages. So this is a simulated pressure, meaning there's only 4 guys rushing the quarterback, the defensive lineman, and both of these linebackers drop into coverage. The routes being called here, we've got the X running this kind of dig route across the middle. Our F is running this pretty much just a clearing route right across the center or the middle of the field. Our tight end is running kind of this deep out. And then we've got this in route here from our other receiver, our Z. So we said this was cover 2. So we've got this free safety playing his deep half, the strong safety playing his deep half. And what's different about this type of cover 2 is it's a cover 2 Tampa is what we'd call this. So all that means in a typical cover 2, you'd have guys who are playing intermediate zones across the middle, which we do have a couple of these here. And then this linebacker would also maybe play here. But instead, he's playing slightly deeper in the middle, not as deep as you'd see in a cover 3 where he's truly playing that deep third responsibility, but just slightly deeper than that intermediate coverage. That's because teams like to exploit this kind of soft spot across the middle between those 2 depths. And in seeing this F receiver come across right through the middle, he actually comes a little bit closer to the center of the field than I've drawn here. That Tampa linebacker recognizes that that's his responsibility. Neither the free safety or strong safety are in position to cover him, so he ends up following him deep down the field. And the completion on this play is to the X receiver, who is running his route at a perfect depth. He's shallower than the free safety, but he's deeper than this nickel corner, and he finds this gap right across the middle for what is a pretty easy 20-yard completion. So it looks like a pretty simple play call, but it's interesting just because of how it exploits the coverage rules here. And it's kind of a levels concept. Not really. Levels would be where you'd have maybe like 3 horizontal routes going across the field at different depths. One of these routes is not, it's a vertical route, but it kind of utilizes the same type of concept. So this 3 route combination here in the middle of the field, it's going to put pressure on the defense it's going to cause conflict. Of course, we've got this linebacker we talked about who's playing deep. This is actually a pretty good matchup for the offense as well. This linebacker, not a good matchup against a receiver. And so if the quarterback had a little bit more time and a really big arm, he might be able to buy some time and throw deep down the field. This receiver might have a step or 2 on that linebacker and be open for what would be a touchdown. But since he's cleared out of the middle of the field, we've only got a couple other guys in position to make a play. And these 2 other routes, which are at different depths from one another, are going to force the defender to make a choice on which one he covers. So this linebacker here, who's playing kind of right here, he'll likely just stick to this kind of this route across the middle. And in this nickel corner, if he reads the play correctly, he should be following the X across the field, but he's going to question if that's his responsibility to come all the way, follow him across the field here. So depending on his rule set, he may or may not do that. So it's creating kind of a difficult situation for the defense in a vulnerable spot of the field. So that's why this is a really interesting call.